Chapter 21. Big Hairy Hands. "What are you wearing that for?" asked Dad. It was Monday morning and he was staring at Dennis, who was sitting at the kitchen table eating his Rice Krispies for the first time in a week, wearing his school uniform. "I'm going back to school today, Dad," replied Dennis. "The headmaster has changed his mind about me being expelled." "He has? Why?" "He's a nasty piece of work, that man." "It's a long story. I suppose he thought that the dressing up wasn't so bad after all." "Well, he's right. It isn't. You know, I was very proud of you out there on that pitch. You were very brave." "That boy really did kick me pretty hard," said Dennis. "I don't mean that. I mean going out there in a dress. That was brave. I wouldn't be able to do it. You're a great lad, really. You are. It hasn't been easy for you since your mum left. I've been very happy, and I know sometimes I've taken it out on very unhappy, and I know sometimes I've taken it out on you and your brother, and I'm sorry for that." "It's okay, Dad. I still love you." Dad reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out the photograph he had taken of his family at the beach. "I didn't have the heart to burn it, son. It's just too painful for me to look at photos like that. I loved your mum very much, you see. I still love her now, after everything. Being a grown-up is complicated like that. But it's your photo, Dennis. You keep it safe." Dad's hand trembled as he passed the charred photograph back to his son. Dennis looked at it again and then slid it carefully into his breast pocket. "Thanks, Dad," he said. "All right," said John as he entered the room. "You coming back to school then?" "Yeah," replied Dennis. "That stupid headmaster changed his mind," added Dad. "Well, I think you're very brave going back," said John as he put some stale slices of bread in the toaster. "Some of the older kids might pick on you." Dennis looked down at the lino. "Well, you need to look after your brother then, don't you, John?" said Dad. "Yeah, I will. If anyone has a go, I'll have a go back. You're my brother and I'll protect you." "Good boy, John," said Dad, trying not to cry. "I've got to go, boys. I've got to drive a load of bog rolls to Bradford." He walked over to the door and then turned back for a moment. "I'm very proud of you both, you know. Whatever you do, you'll always be my boys. You're all I've got." He couldn't quite look at them as he spoke, and then he quickly left, shutting the door behind him. Dennis and John looked at each other. It was as if an ice age had thawed, and the sun was shining for the first time in a million years. "It's a shame you missed the final," said Dennis, as they walked to school together. "Yeah," said John. "I just had to, you know, hang around outside the leisure centre with my mates." "That's funny. I thought for a moment I saw your face in the crowd, but I suppose it must have been someone else." John coughed. "Well, actually, I sort of was there." "I knew it," said Dennis, smiling. "Why didn't you let on?" "I was going to," spluttered John, "but I just couldn't run onto the pitch at the end and do all that hugging stuff. I wanted to, honest, but I dunno. I'm sorry." "Well, I'm glad you were there, even if you didn't tell me. You didn't need to be sorry." "Thanks. Sorry." They walked in silence for a moment. "What I still don't get, though," ventured John, "is why you did it." "Did what?" "Put that dress on in the first place." "I don't know, really," said Dennis, a puzzled look crossing his face. "I suppose because it was fun." "Fun?" said John. "Well, you know, when we were younger, and we used to run around the garden pretending to be Daleks or Spider-Man or whatever." "Yeah." "It felt like that, like playing," said Dennis, confidently. "I used to like playing," said John, almost to himself, as they continued down the street. "What the—" said John, as he and Dennis entered Raj's shop to find Raj resplendent in a bright green sari and wig and full makeup. "Morning, boys," said Raj in a ridiculously high-pitched voice. "Morning, Raj," said Dennis. "Oh no, I'm not Raj," said Raj. "Raj is not here today, but he's left me in charge of the shop. I'm his Aunt Indira." "Raj, we know it's you," said John. "Oh dear," said Raj, dejected. "I've been up since dawn putting this look together. What gave it away so quickly?" "The stubble," said Dennis. "The Adam's apple," said John. "Those big hairy hands," continued Dennis. All right. I get the point, said Raj hurriedly. I was hoping I'd get my own back by fooling you, Dennis, after you played that trick on me. Well, you very nearly did fool me, Raj, said Dennis kindly. You were incredibly convincing as a woman. He smiled, looking admiringly at Raj's outfit. So where did you get the sari? It's my wife's. Luckily, she's a very big lady, so it's a good fit. Raj lowered his voice for a moment and looked around so no one else could hear. She doesn't know I've got it on, so if you see her, it's best not to mention it. It's okay, Raj. We won't, said Dennis. Thank you so much. Good tip about your headmaster, Mr. Hawtree, yes? Said Raj with a wink of his eyeliner-caked eye. Oh, yes, thank you, Raj, said Dennis, winking back. What's that about Mr. Hawtree? Asked John. Oh, nothing. He just likes to read the Sunday Telegraph, that's all, said Dennis. Well, we better go. We're going to be late, said John, tugging his brother's arm. Just this bag of quavers, please, Raj. Buy 2 bags of quavers. I give you 1 extra, 1 free, said Raj with great delight in his new special offer. All right, then, said John. That sounds good. He picked up another bag of quavers and gave it to Dennis. Raj then produced a single quaver from a bag, and there is your free quaver. So that's 2 bags of quavers, 58p. Thank you so much. John looked confused. Good luck today, Dennis, exclaimed Raj, as the 2 boys left his shop. I'll be thinking of you. Chapter 22. One thing left to do. Entering the school gates, Dennis spotted Darvesh waiting for him, holding a brand new football. Do you fancy a kickabout? Asked Darvesh. My mum bought me this yesterday. We're allowed to play with proper footballs in the playground now, he added, bouncing the ball triumphantly. Really? Said Dennis. I wonder why Hawtree changed his mind. Do you want to play then? Asked Darvesh eagerly. At that moment, Dennis saw Miss Windsor parking her yellow Citroën 2CV. It wasn't so much a car, more a dustbin on wheels, but it was French, and she loved it. I'll catch up with you at break, okay? Said Dennis. Okay, Dennis, we'll have a proper game then, replied Darvesh, doing his keepy-uppies as he made his way to the classroom. John, wait here a moment, will you? Said Dennis. There's one thing I still need to do. Dennis took a deep breath. Miss, he called out. John hung back a little. Oh, it's you, said Miss Windsor frostily. What do you want? I just wanted to say, I'm really sorry. I am. I'm sorry, I really shouldn't have said that you didn't have a good French accent. Miss Windsor remained silent, and Dennis squirmed, trying to think of something else to say. Because you do. You actually have a really good French accent, Mademoiselle. It sounds like you are actually a proper French person. Well, thank you, Dennis, or merci beaucoup, Dennis, as I would say in Francais, said Miss Windsor, warming a little. Well done on Saturday. Wonderful match. You actually look very convincing in a dress, you know. Thank you, miss. Actually, I'm glad you're here, said Miss Windsor. You see, I've written a play. Oh, yes, said Dennis with trepidation. It's a play about the life of Joan of Arc, the 15th century French religious martyr. Wow, that sounds, none of the girls want to play her. Anyway, I thought it would be fascinating to have a boy play her, as she, of course, was a girl who wore boys' clothing. Dennis, I think you'd make a very memorable Joan. Dennis looked to his brother for help, but John just smirked. Well, it certainly sounds interesting. Wonderful. Let's meet up at break time and discuss it over pain au chocolat. Okay, miss, said Dennis, trying to hide his dread. He walked away slowly and quietly, as you might retreat from a bomb that may be about to go off. Oh, I should have said the play is entirely in French. Au revoir, she called after him. Au revoir, he called back in the most un-French accent he could manage. Now that I can't wait to see, said John, laughing. As they walked off together towards the main school building, John put his arm around him. Dennis smiled. The world felt different.